When Disney California Adventure opened its gates, it promised to capture the essence of California, but the park quickly faced criticism and change. Over the years, the park's evolution led to the removal of many attractions, ill-conceived dark rides, towering thrills, and familiar theatre shows. These lost experiences tell a story of bold ambitions, creative missteps, and the park's transformation into something greater. When it opened, Disney California Adventure was supposed to offer the best of the state itself. The Hollywood Pictures backlot was designed to capture the glitz and glamour of Tinseltown, immersing guests in the allure of Hollywood. However, many of the park's attractions fell short of expectations, and none exemplified this more than Superstar Limo. Billed as a wacky journey through Hollywood, the attraction quickly became one of the most infamous rides in Disney history, remembered more for its flaws than its charm. Superstar Limo was an indoor dark ride that invited guests to step into the role of a rising movie star. The premise was simple. Guests were being driven through Hollywood to make it to a red carpet movie premiere. Along the way, they encounter paparazzi, Hollywood landmarks, and caricatured versions of celebrities. While an interesting concept, the execution left much to be desired. The attraction began in a version of LAX Airport, where guests were briefed on their journey by Joan Rivers, who appeared as an over-the-top Hollywood reporter. Riders then boarded cartoonishly designed limousines for a slow-paced trip through exaggerated versions of Los Angeles neighborhoods. The ride sets were garish, with oversized props and fluorescent colours that felt more like a parody than an homage to Hollywood. Animatronic versions of celebrities, like Whoopi Goldberg, Tim Allen and Cher, appeared in caricatured forms, but their likenesses were far from convincing. Critics and guests alike panned Superstar Limo for its lackluster design and underwhelming experience. The humour was seen as dated and uninspired, and the ride's low-budget aesthetic stood in stark contrast to the high standards typically associated with Disney attractions. Additionally, the ride's pacing felt sluggish, with long pauses between scenes that left riders more confused than entertained. Superstar Limo's problems stemmed in part from its troubled development. Originally envisaged as a fast-paced thrill ride, the concept was scaled back significantly during production. The resulting dark ride felt like a compromise, lacking the excitement and polish that might have made it a standout attraction. The attraction's unpopularity led to its closure in January 2002, less than a year after opening. Superstar Limo quickly became a symbol of Disney California Adventure's initial struggles to win over guests and critics. The building sat dormant for several years, serving as a stark reminder of the park's rocky debut. In 2006, the space was finally reimagined, as Monsters Inc. Mike and Sully to the rescue. The new dark ride, based on Pixar's hit film Monsters Inc., retained the original track layout of Superstar Limo, but replaced its sets and characters with scenes from the beloved movie. The world of Monstropolis, combined with familiar characters and a more engaging storyline, was a hit with guests. However, all was not removed. Some of the original celebrity animatronics still populate the renewed attraction, reimagined as CDA agents. An entertainment staple at any Disney park is a daily parade, and when Disney California Adventure opened in 2001, it was no exception. Eureka, the California Adventure Parade, was a new creation designed to capture the diversity, culture, and spirit of the Golden State. Despite its grand aspirations, the parade had a relatively short run, closing in 2002. The parade brought together a range of floats and performers meant to evoke key aspects of California life. One float representing Hispanic California celebrated the state's rich Latino heritage, while another themed to Los Angeles featured drummers suspended from replicas of the Watts Towers. Outdoor California highlighted the state's iconic beaches, and a Chinatown-inspired float included performers dressed as fortune cookies and Chinese takeout boxes. The Golden State finale provided a vibrant climax, celebrating the people of the state. A standout feature was a beach-themed float that incorporated extreme sports performers, as well as some dressed as the Golden Gate Bridge. However, the lack of Disney characters on the floats was a notable omission for many guests. Instead, the parade relied heavily on its overarching California theme and original music, Come Away With Me. This energetic song blended various musical styles to reflect the state's multicultural influences. The attraction's ambition, however, came at a cost. While visually stunning, Eureka struggled to find a cohesive identity. At different points it seemed artistic, satirical, majestic, and even silly, leaving audiences unsure of its tone. The elements failed to come together in a way that resonated deeply with parkgoers, and the parade's narrative lacked the emotional pull that Disney entertainment was known for. As a result, repeat visitors often gravitated towards other attractions rather than revisiting the parade. Disney California Adventure, facing widespread criticism for its lack of attractions and thematic consistency during its early years, saw Eureka as a reflection of these challenges. The parade ultimately struggled to stand out, and its final performance came in 2002. In the years that followed, Eureka was replaced with parades like Block Party Bash and Pixar Play Parade, which incorporated more recognisable Disney characters and offered the kind of storytelling and charm that audiences expected. Shortly after Disney California Adventure opened, the park introduced an attraction that would put guests in the spotlight of one of television's most popular game shows, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Play It! Debuting in September of opening year in a newly constructed building as part of Hollywood Pictures' backlot, this live-action experience offered parkgoers the chance to test their trivia skills in a recreation of the famous game show, complete with authentic set design and dramatic lighting. The addition of Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Play It! Came during a critical time for Disney California Adventure. The park faced significant criticism and low attendance following its opening, with many guests feeling it lacked the immersive charm expected from a Disney park. Millionaire was introduced quickly, as part of an effort to enhance the park's offerings and draw more visitors. The attraction faithfully mimicked the atmosphere of the TV show, right down to the iconic music. Guests entered a studio theatre resembling the show's set, complete with a signature circular seating arrangement. Each show featured a host and live studio audience, and everyone in attendance had the chance to participate. Before the show began, audience members would use keypads to answer a qualifying question. The fastest and most accurate responders entered the hot seat to try to progress through multiple choice queries in the hope of climbing to the coveted million-point level. Unlike the TV show, contestants vied for points rather than cash prizes. However, the points still carried a sense of reward, as high scorers could win exclusive Disney prizes. Lower tier prizes included collectible pins and hats, while those who reached the top could win a trip to New York or a 3-day vacation on the Disney Cruise Line. The experience included many of the show's familiar lifelines, some with a twist. 50-50 and Ask the Audience were included, but instead of phone a friend, contestants would phone a complete stranger. Participants would be connected to a telephone outside the building, where a passing guest would be asked to help. Despite its initial success, Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Play It! Was short-lived. The attraction opened during the peak of the game show's popularity, but as interest in Who Wants to Be a Millionaire? Waned, so did the draw of the theme park attraction. After entertaining guests for 5 years, the attraction closed in 2006. The theatre that housed the show didn't stay dark for long. It was reimagined as Stage 17, hosting special events and seasonal offerings, such as the Dancing with Disney character dance party. During the COVID-19 pandemic, it was temporarily repurposed as the backlot premiere shop, offering retail space to support social distancing measures. Notably, this temporary shop featured a sign from the building's original exterior, serving as a nostalgic nod to the venue's history. Premiering on opening day was Golden Dreams, an attraction that sought to celebrate the diverse history and culture of California. Envisioned as a heartfelt tribute to the state's people and their stories, the show took guests on a journey through key moments in California's history, highlighting themes of perseverance and innovation. To anchor this, Whoopi Goldberg was cast as Califia, the fictionalized Queen of California, guiding audiences with warmth and humour. The attraction was housed in a theatre, the entrance modelled after San Francisco's Palace of Fine Arts, and the building itself flanked by a large mural showcasing the people of California. Inside, the theatre seated 347 guests and featured an elegant Art Deco motif. The screen was accompanied by statues of Califia herself, enhanced with projection effects that brought the character to life. Guests experienced a 22-minute film, featuring live-action reenactments and heartfelt storytelling. The film explored California's history, including the Gold Rush, the Great Depression, and the waves of immigration that shaped the state's identity. Golden Dreams sought to resonate emotionally with its audience, but it faced mixed reviews. While some praised its cultural significance and Whoopi Goldberg's engaging performance, others found the presentation overly earnest. Repeat visitors who had seen the presentation often chose not to return on subsequent visits, instead opting for some of the park's more popular attractions. Nevertheless, it was one of the park's more thoughtful and introspective offerings. As Disney California Adventure struggled during its early years, Golden Dreams was overshadowed by flashier attractions. By 2008, it became clear that the park's lineup needed a major overhaul. Golden Dreams closed that year, making way for a new attraction, The Little Mermaid Ariel's Undersea Adventure. The transformation of the space was extensive. The Palace of Fine Arts inspired structure was updated with a colourful Victorian seaside colouring, aligning with the reimagined Paradise Pier aesthetic. The new attraction brought guests into the world of the beloved animated film, offering a family-friendly dark ride that showcased iconic songs and scenes from The Little Mermaid. Standing tall over Paradise Pier, the Maliboomer was a towering thrill ride designed to evoke the end-era classic Carnival high striker. Opening with the park in 2001, its imposing 180-foot structure promised a high adrenaline experience that sharply contrasted with the traditional charm of Disneyland just a few steps away. The Maliboomer was an S&S Power space shot, a popular ride model found in many amusement parks during the late 1990s and early 2000s. It featured 3 vertical towers, each launching a group of 16 riders, straight up at 40 miles per hour. The ride's central gimmick, a simulated strength test, reinforced the playful carnival theme of Paradise Pier. Topped with a massive stylised bell, the attraction's bright lights and sounds replicated the hammer strike of a Midway high striker game. The ride's name, the Maliboomer, was a playful pun on Malibu, in line with the naming conventions of many early Disney California Adventure attractions. It aimed to combine the thrill of a sudden boom with a nod to the Californian coastal city. The ride experience was short but intense. Riders were strapped in with over-the-shoulder harnesses, seated in groups of 4 around the tower. With a sudden burst of compressed air, the launch sent guests rocketing upwards, offering brief yet breathtaking views of the park and Anaheim beyond. After reaching its peak, the gondolas descended with several smaller bounces before gently returning to the ground. Despite its thrills, the Maliboomer was often criticised for its lack of originality. As a budget-friendly addition, it closely mirrored other attractions at nearby parks, such as Knott's Berry Farm's Turbo Drop Supreme Scream. Critics noted that the ride felt out of place in a Disney park, where themed storytelling typically took precedence over off-the-shelf ride models. Its utilitarian design, combined with large plastic scream shields installed to reduce noise complaints from neighbours, detracted further from its appeal. The Maliboomer struggled to find its footing in a park already grappling with identity issues. As Disney California Adventure began an extensive transformation to create a more cohesive and immersive experience, the Maliboomer became a prime candidate for removal. It closed quietly in 2010 and was dismantled soon after. For several years, its concrete pad and railings remained, with the spot repurposed for character meet and greets and even serving as a smoking area. In 2019, the space saw new life, with the opening of Emotional Whirlwind, a family-friendly spinner ride themed to Pixar's Inside Out. This reimagined attraction brought vibrant colours and playful storytelling to an area once dominated by late 1990s aesthetics. The Maliboomer's removal marked a shift in the park's priorities, moving away from quick-fix thrills toward attractions that embodied Disney's legacy of creativity and storytelling. When Disney California Adventure opened, the entrance to the park was designed to immerse guests in the sunny, laid-back vibe of California. Known as Sunshine Plaza, this area was a stylised interpretation of the state's culture and geography, featuring a variety of distinctive design elements intended to set the tone for the park. While ambitious in concept, Sunshine Plaza faced criticism for its execution, ultimately leading to a complete redesign less than a decade later. One of the most iconic features of Sunshine Plaza was the massive California letters that stood at the park's entrance. These 11-foot-tall sculptures spelled out the state's name and became a popular photo spot for visitors. In the distance was a replica of the Golden Gate Bridge, serving as both a visual landmark and a structural feature of the park's monorail system. The bridge was flanked by a pair of murals, and combined, the full entrance was supposed to represent a stylised picture postcard. Once inside, guests could view a sprawling mosaic that depicted the Golden Hills, beaches and cityscapes of California. This vibrant piece of art was intended to celebrate the state's diversity and natural beauty, and at the time was the largest tile mural in the world. Passing under the Golden Gate Bridge, guests would see the towering sun icon at the heart of Sunshine Plaza, a massive golden disc surrounded by sunbeams that symbolised California's perpetual sunshine. As guests moved through the area, they heard a loop of classic California-themed songs, further enhancing the laid-back atmosphere. Despite these elements, Sunshine Plaza struggled to resonate with guests. Critics felt the area's design lacked the immersive storytelling and emotional connection that Disney was known for. The California letters and Golden Gate Bridge were seen as more touristy than thematic, and the sun icon, though visually striking, failed to provide a meaningful focal point. Sunshine Plaza's aesthetic leaned heavily on surface-level references to California, which many felt made the area feel more like a shopping mall than the gateway to a Disney park. In 2010, Disney embarked on a major overhaul of Disney California Adventure, investing over $1 billion to reimagine the park. As part of this transformation, Sunshine Plaza was replaced by Buena Vista Street, a new entrance area designed to capture the charm and optimism of 1920s Los Angeles. Buena Vista Street was more than just a facelift. It was a fundamental rethinking of the park's entry experience. The redesign marked the first time a Disney park entrance had ever been completely reimagined. Buena Vista Street introduced new architecture, inspired by the period when Walt Disney first arrived in California, with buildings evoking the Spanish Revival and Art Deco styles of the era. The Golden Gate Bridge was replaced by the Glendale Hyperion Bridge, and the California letters were removed to make way for a more cohesive and expanded entryway. In place of the sun icon, the central feature became Carthay Circle, a replica of the theatre where Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs premiered in 1937. These changes brought a deeper narrative and historical context to the park entrance, earning widespread praise from guests and critics alike. Though Sunshine Plaza is now a memory, some aspects live on. The California letters were relocated to the entrance of the California State Fairgrounds, preserving a piece of the park's history and can still be seen today. Disney California Adventure had been facing an uphill battle, struggling to captivate audiences and failing to meet the high expectations set by its neighbour Disneyland. To help address these, one of the most significant additions to be introduced was the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. Opening in May 2004, this thrilling drop tower ride quickly became a cornerstone of the park's efforts to redefine itself. The California version of the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror was inspired by the original attraction at Disney's Hollywood Studios in Florida. However, it came with notable differences, shaped by budget and space constraints. While the Florida version featured an elaborate horizontal trackless movement system, the California iteration focused entirely on vertical motion. The building's facade adopted a Pueblo Deco design, channeling the glamour and mystique of a 1930s Hollywood hotel. The story began as visitors approached the towering building, a once glamorous establishment struck by a mysterious tragedy. Guests were drawn into the story as they learned about a fateful lightning strike on Halloween night in 1939, which caused 5 people and an entire elevator to vanish into another dimension. A pre-show located in the hotel's library invited guests to step into the eerie world of the Twilight Zone. The ride itself was a masterclass in suspense and thrills. Guests entered a service elevator, which transported them through a series of haunting scenes where they witnessed a ghostly hotel corridor and the chilling disappearance of the doomed elevator passengers. The climax delivered a heart-pounding freefall experience, with randomised drop sequences ensuring that no 2 rides were the same. The addition of the new attraction was met with overwhelmingly positive feedback, the ride bringing some of the immersion and theming that was missing from California Adventure's early days. For over a decade, the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror stood as a fan favourite, blending Hollywood placemaking with the exhilarating drop. However, in 2016, Disney announced a bold transformation. The ride would close to make way for Guardians of the Galaxy Mission Breakout, marking the first major Marvel-themed attraction at a US Disney park. The decision reflected Disney's broader strategy to integrate the newly acquired Marvel brand into its parks. January 2017 marked the end of the Tower of Terror at California Adventure. Almost immediately, the Hollywood Tower Hotel began its transformation into the vibrant and chaotic Collector's Fortress. While the ride system remained intact, the new attraction featured a completely reimagined storyline contemporary music tracks, and cutting-edge special effects. Mission Breakout opened in May 2017, injecting a new energy into the park and folding the ride into the larger Avengers campus area. Though the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror no longer looms over California Adventure, sharp-eyed visitors can spot some hidden tributes and other Disneyland memorabilia spread throughout the building and queue. Some of the criticism that Disney California Adventure faced upon opening was relying heavily on off-the-shelf attractions and cloned experiences. Among these was It's Tough to Be a Bug, a 3D theatre attraction adapted from Disney's Animal Kingdom in Florida. Originally debuting in 1998, the attraction celebrated the release of Pixar's A Bug's Life and brought its insect characters to life in a charming 3D adventure. The California version of It's Tough to Be a Bug was housed in the Bountiful Valley Farm area, a space designed to showcase California's agricultural heritage. The theatre was built as an underground escape, immersing guests in the miniature world of bugs. The surrounding area featured exhibits and displays themed around farming and nature, with agricultural equipment, crops, and fake animals. The show itself was a 9-minute 3D film, hosted by Flik the Ant from A Bug's Life. Guests began their journey by donning bug-eye 3D glasses before entering a theatre that simulated the underground world of insects. Flik introduced the premise of the show to demonstrate the challenges bugs face in their daily lives while showcasing their unique talents. The attraction used a combination of 3D visuals and special in-theatre effects to create an overwhelming sensory experience. Highlights included a segment where guests dodged a giant fly swatter and experienced the sensation of bug spray misting over them. The climax featured Hopper, the villainous grasshopper from A Bug's Life, who appeared as an impressive animatronic to confront the audience. This scene incorporated air blasts and seat effects to simulate the swarm of angry insects he unleashed. The finale invited guests to remain seated, while the bugs humorously exited first, an effect that caused many to jump from their seats. Despite its technological achievements and charm, It's Tough to Be a Bug struggled to remain a standout attraction. Repeat visitors often bypassed the show, opting instead for other offerings. As Disney's focus shifted towards integrating Marvel properties following its acquisition of the studios in 2009, the future of this area began to change. In 2018, Disney announced the closure of It's Tough to Be a Bug to make way for Avengers Campus. The attraction closed its doors for the final time on March 19th, with surrounding areas and theming gradually removed to accommodate the high-tech expansion. Avengers Campus officially opened in 2021, and the former site of It's Tough to Be a Bug became home to Web Slingers, a Spider-Man adventure. While the new ride features a completely different theme and interactive technology, the distinctive shape of the original theatre can still be seen above the newer buildings. While in the pre-show of Web Slingers, a claw machine includes numerous items, one of which is a pair of 3D glasses from It's Tough to Be a Bug. When it debuted, some of the critiques aimed at California Adventure were the lack of Disney characters and attractions for younger guests. In addition, many areas such as Bountiful Valley Farm were seen as underwhelming, without the excitement guests expected from a Disney property. In response, Disney decided to reimagine this section of the park, using the success of Pixar's A Bug's Life as inspiration. By 2002, plans were in motion to transform the larger Bountiful Valley Farm area into a Bug's Land, incorporating the existing It's Tough to Be a Bug attraction and adding Flik's Fun Fair to fold in more characters and increase offerings for younger guests. Flik's Fun Fair was added on the edge of the agricultural-themed Bountiful Valley Farm and was a whimsical bug-sized carnival reached by walking through a giant box of cookies. The concept invited guests to see the world from a bug's perspective, with oversized props like giant leaves, bottle caps, and discarded food packaging, creating the illusion that visitors had shrunk to insect size. This immersive environment was designed to appeal primarily to families with younger children, filling a critical gap in the park's original lineup. The land featured 5 attractions. Among them was Flik's Flyers, a spinning balloon race where guests boarded vehicles made from repurposed items like Chinese takeout boxes and dandelion seeds. Heimlich's Choo Choo Train took guests on a gentle journey through oversized snacks, with the train's namesake caterpillar providing humorous commentary along the way. Tuck and Roll's Drive and Buggies offered a bug-themed take on bumper cars, while Francis's Ladybug Boogie provided a spinning teacup-style experience. Finally, Princess Dot Puddle Park served as a water play area, perfect for cooling off on warm California days. While Flik's Fun Fair succeeded in providing much-needed attractions for young families, it was often criticised for its limited appeal to older guests and lack of innovation. Many of the rides were off-the-shelf designs, with minimal retheming, and the area struggled to maintain high guest satisfaction over the years. Still, it remained a staple of Disney California Adventure, providing an escape for families with younger children. The land's fate changed when Disney acquired Marvel Studios in 2009. Recognising the potential of integrating Marvel's superhero franchises into the parks, Disney announced plans to transform the area into Avengers Campus. In September 2018, Flik's Fun Fair closed permanently, marking the end of its 16-year run. By 2021, the space had been reimagined as a high-tech, action-packed land celebrating Marvel's iconic characters. Tributes to Flik's Fun Fair can still be found in Avengers Campus, and large Christmas lights reminiscent of the oversized props from Flik's Fun Fair are seen hanging in the PIM tasting lab. When Cars Land debuted at Disney California Adventure in 2012, it brought Radiator Springs to life with immersive attractions and meticulous theming. Among its debut offerings was Luigi's Flying Tires, a unique ride inspired by the classic Flying Saucers attraction that operated in Disneyland's Tomorrowland from 1961 to 1966. Luigi's Flying Tires was designed as a modern reimagining of the hovercraft-like experience. The ride was set at Luigi's Casadella Tires, a shop from Pixar's Cars where Luigi and Guido celebrated Italian culture and their love of tyres. Riders boarded oversized tyre-shaped vehicles, each large enough to seat multiple guests. These vehicles floated on a cushion of air, creating a hovering sensation that was unlike anything else in the park. Riders could steer their tyres by leaning in the direction they wanted to move. While the premise sounded exciting, the execution presented several challenges. Many guests found the tyres difficult to control, often ending up trapped in clusters with other vehicles, or barely moving at all. The learning curve for steering proved steep, and the slow-paced attraction frustrated many who were unable to master the controls. Initially, large beach balls were introduced as part of the ride, allowing guests to throw them around for added fun. However, the beach balls quickly became a safety concern and were removed just 2 months after the ride's debut. As time progressed, rumours suggested that Disney Imagineering was exploring ways to improve the attraction, or potentially replace it altogether. The floating sensation was unique, but it wasn't enough to sustain repeat interest, and after long waits, many riders were left disappointed by the clunky and unresponsive movement of the vehicles. The attraction closed in February 2015, only 3 years after its grand opening. In March 2016, Luigi's Rollicking Roadsters opened in its place. This trackless ride featured colourful dancing cars that twirled and spun in time with music. The new attraction retained Luigi's charm and the Italian theme, but offered a more dynamic and predictable experience. Disney California Adventure's journey has been one of reinvention and growth, with each lost attraction playing a role in shaping the park's transformation. While guests can no longer experience these rides and shows, they remain an important chapter in the park's story, remembered for their creativity, challenges and impact. Though these attractions have faded away, their spirit lives on in the ever-evolving theme park.